Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. And I have to get something off my chest. I saw it this morning, and I have no idea how this video is going to go. So first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Tom Nash. He's a channel that I watch, and he had a mea culpa this morning. What I took away from it is obviously he's owning his shit, so shout out him. But he shared something that anybody with experience, in my opinion, should have seen as a red flag. He shared in that video that he was paid $50,000 a month to pimp FTX. So as someone who has worked in software and high tech and high leverage and done all of these things, you're in business to make a profit. So Tom Nash, Graham Stephan, all these other people that pimped FTX were paid, I'm guessing, proportionate to user counts. I don't know that for sure, but I think that is very reasonable. But let me just ask you about this for a minute. Just sit there logically. Somebody strokes you a $50,000 check to pimp something. You have to assume that they're making a profit, right? They're paying you 50 grand because you are going to bring in enough customers that pays for that sponsorship and makes a profit. So I ask you, how many people do you think would have to be brought in $50,000 a month, not a year, a month, to pimp this? Thousands? Tens of thousands? It just logically does not make sense to me. And I find it very unfortunate that people, we now know the price, right? There's an old joke that I heard one time that I think is this great example. So there's this old guy, and he's a sleazeball, but he's loaded like Jeff Bezos. He sees a pretty woman and says, for $1 billion, would you sleep with me? And she, of course, says, yes, for $1 billion. He calls her up again and says, would you sleep with me again? She is thinking it's $1 billion. He goes, no, $100. Oh, what do you think? I am a whore? We have already established you are. We're now just negotiating. This is what makes me think. So we know that there's a price that YouTube creators will sell out. And it makes me sick. So that's what I'm thinking about. What do you want to talk about, FTX, or what you want to talk about not investing what you don't know? Go ahead. I was annoyed by that this morning.
No, I could tell you needed to get it off your chest. And if you have a YouTube channel and you're making content, you'll be approached by people who say,
almost every week,
we will pay you to support this, to promote this, to whatever. So my litmus test is always, I go through a step process. I will do a sample of your product. Mm-hmm. Then I will do a review of your product. After my review, if you continue to want to see if I will promote your product, sure. And half the time, they disappear. Kind of like when we were talking about the course, how to get started one rental at a time. I said, hey, Mike, I'm going to take your course, and then I'm going to do a review. And the best answer that you would want if you're going to, like you said, pimp any product is you said, cool, just be honest. It wasn't great. Here's what I would like you to say. Here's the script I want you to read. Like, that's what comes from a lot of the possible sponsors for a YouTube channel.
No. So this is unfortunately a major hit to cryptocurrency because it calls into question the legitimacy of cryptocurrency. Not only were a bunch of YouTubers, finance bros pimping this currency, baseball team, Major League Baseball teams were getting in on it. Legitimate businesses were getting in on it because they were, being offered a bunch of money to put the patch of FTX on the vest of the umpires refereeing a Major League Baseball game.
World Series, I think.
Yeah. And so it calls into question a lot of cryptocurrency. Now, we've had conversations before that 99% of the NFTs and the cryptocurrencies out there are garbage, crap, spam, people just trying to get rich quick by selling something that's trash. I still, maybe controversial in this room, but I still value Bitcoin and Ethereum because of the actual services that they provide. If you know how an NFT works, not for a JPEG picture of a monkey, but for how you can digitize a title for a car or a title for a house and have it be able to be unhackable. If you can wrap your head around the technology, I'm not concerned Bitcoin's going to disappear or go to zero. Same thing with Ethereum. But scams like this happen all the time. There are so many people out there. We see it in the comment section of the YouTube videos Mike makes or Instagram posts he makes. There's always people down there with scam comments and scam posts trying to rip you off. Do not use cryptocurrency as a method to reach financial freedom. You are hoping that you're just going to buy something that goes to the moon. That's not how you reach financial freedom. You do it by buying one rental at a time, doing the work, being consistent over a long period of time, 5 to 10 years. That's how you reach financial freedom. I still think you should get educated about cryptocurrency, but do not fall for these scams or any of these issues that are going on. You'll thank me later if you don't.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I've seen, right, over the years. And again, I've been very clear. Cryptocurrency didn't burn me. I bought 1% of my net worth. It'll be there forever. It's in Ethereum, Bitcoin, and one other one, which I now forget. It doesn't matter. But I'll never buy more, never sell it. It'll either go to zero or a big number. It's not an investment for me. It's an insurance policy. I've been very, very clear and fortunate enough where if I lost 1% of my net worth, I wouldn't even notice. But again, I want to go back to the fact that we have content creators in a trusted space of finance who said, I have a number. You are that in this my joke or example, we know you're a whore now. So the question is, what's your number, right? It's all negotiation. So this was unfortunate, and it does not sit well with me.
Sometimes people will say, I have an unpopular opinion, and then they say something everybody else is already thinking. That's not going to be this case, because I'm going to name 3 different asset classes where I have an unpopular opinion. Cryptocurrencies, retirement accounts, and life insurance are 3 businesses where the people making money are selling the product, not the people buying or investing in the products.
Mhm.
So yes, if content creators have been pushing this and people see that they have a lot of subscribers, they get a lot of attention, so they have a bit of credibility because they have clout, and you made financial decisions based on an asset class that you didn't, like Millennial Mike said, educate yourself on, I think there's kind of blame on both sides of the fence.
Well, it is all, I mean, look at what people did with liar loans back in 2007, 2008. You did still have to lie on the loan to get it. It's a shame on the bank for giving it to you. Shame on you for not educating yourself about the property you were buying, what values were, and doing the work and not understanding a deal and saying you made money you didn't. When you put those 2 things together, you have a financial collapse that destroys the economy for 5 years.
Yeah, the kind of closing thought on this will not be the last mania, right? If you're 60 years or younger, this will not be the last mania. I lived through the .com craziness, and again, it was just as crazy. It just wasn't called a coin or an NFT. There were, I mean, I was selling software. I remember walking into a company in San Francisco. They had ping pong tables for desks, foosball tables for lunch. I mean, it was just crazy. It was almost a college frat atmosphere. They had just gotten $20 million in round A. And I remember they had Cisco and Sun boxes just piled up right back when Java was coming out, right? And I had like a 20-minute conversation, and they bought $100,000 my software. Why did they buy it? They didn't know what it did, but they had a series of things they had to buy to get their round B. And I was a checkbox, and it's crazy. So again, mania happens when money, when what we learned here is when debt is or risk is 0, we do dumb shit, and then you do even more dumb shit, and then more leverage and more dumb stuff, and eventually it breaks. And then if you get a bad actor, which this ought to be an interesting question for you two. So you guys all heard of Bernie Madoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Bernie Madoff was, in my opinion, a classic Ponzi scheme. You guys have obviously heard me talk about Enron, right? So Enron was a company, in my opinion, built on fraud by the leaders. And then you probably heard something called the Lehman moment, right? Lehman moment, in my opinion, was bad asset allocation into a market that turned, that got illiquid, and they died. It was stupid, but I don't think criminal, in my opinion. So when I look at FTX, and I actually said this long before it came out there, people were trying to paint FTX, and some of these YouTube creators said, oh, it's, FTX overseas, not FTX US. I'm like, you fucking guys are idiots because all this shit is tied together. And I was like, this is fraud. This is not Lehman. Lehman is like, hey, capitalism's going on and we just got too aggressive and the market turned and there was no liquidity and oops. No, this is fraud. This is people who took, you know, your money, used it to pay their bills or cover their bad bet. And you thought that was going to, I mean, it's, you know, it's not, there's going to be so many crazy things. Two things I've heard already. The CFO of this company was a convicted fraud gambler in a poker arena like a decade ago. Okay, that's what I want for my CFO. And then I don't know if this is true. I didn't verify it, but on the way home from the event yesterday, Meet Kevin did a deep dive on this and basically said the CPA or the audit firm was CPA in the metaverse. That's got to make you feel good. So again, it's just like nobody, and like people are now pointing at these things and going, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." Why weren't you pointing at the thing when they were giving you 50 grand a month to pimp their shit? It was still the same CFO. It was still the same audit firm. Now you're saying it like, ha ha ha. Where was the due diligence before you cashed that check? It's, you know, we know at this point you're, you know, you a hoe, you're just negotiating price. So
That's one of the problems when you have a new market like cryptocurrency come out is the opinion is it's fraud. The proof, no one knows. No one knows what will be the ultimate decision in a court of what the actual definition of what happened is. So when you have people that are pimping it, and then it comes to light that this was not the best investment, most of them can just sit back and go, I just get paid to talk about them.
Well, that's unfortunate. I won't sell out for, yeah, I get asked every week, almost every week, I should say, almost every week. Nope.
Yeah, and if you want some crypto for free using FTX, please use the code Take My Money, and you will get a great discount on your returns.
I'm a sucker.
I'm a sucker. That is a joke, folks. If you don't know Dion, he's very, very funny. All right. Any closing thoughts? Crypto.
Again, I still stand by you should get educated on what Bitcoin does and the technology around blockchain and how NFTs work. They will be used in the future. I completely guarantee it. I don't think it's a great viable investment strategy, but I promise you 10 years from now, you will be exchanging NFTs.
What I would tell you to do if you're watching this channel is you have work to do now in real estate, learning your buy box, all of that. If you get to a point where you could put 1% of your net worth and you wouldn't feel it, then, you know, you do you. But most of us have work to do to get there. So let's remember what the next step is instead of, you know, thinking about 10 years and trading JPEGs of a monkey. All right, Dion, you want to close out?
Right. So the final thought is a lot of us as investors often hear that you need to diversify, that millionaires have an average of 7 income streams. Warren Buffett will say diversification is very important. Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary will say no more than 5% in any asset, no more than 20% in any asset class. And that all makes sense once you're wealthy.
Yeah.
To become wealthy, you need to focus on one asset class and master it. So as you're growing, I don't think that the right strategy is to invest in some stocks and invest in some crypto and invest in some real estate, because you won't master any of them. Once your net worth gets large enough that you can take into something like a risky asset class that you might not be educated in, like cryptocurrency, and take 1% or 2% of your net worth and money that you can lose and don't care about, yes, try that. If you solely focus on crypto and you educate yourself, there are people who make money at it. That's not us.
Yeah, not us. All right, guys, have a nice day. Thank you for letting me vent. I actually have no idea if I'll post this video, but I feel better, so that's good.
Ciao.